Birmingham, Alabama, late at night. The streets were deserted, lit only by sparse yellow street lamps glinting on the slick asphalt after rain. Major Vanessa Carter, a black logistics officer with 18 years of service, was driving the government-issued black SUV. She had just left the military base after a meeting that dragged well into the night. In the car, a small radio softly played music, and in her mind was only the roof over her head, and her daughter still waiting for her mother at home. But then, flashing red and blue lights behind her, a siren's shriek tore through the silence. Vanessa frowned, startled. She glanced in the rearview mirror. A police car was pulling up, signaling her to stop. She had not exceeded the speed limit. She had broken no laws. The SUV gradually edged to the shoulder, and at that moment, her heart clenched with a foreboding she could not name. The figure stepping out of the patrol car was Officer Bradley Cooper, a white police officer with 14 years on the force. In Birmingham, that name was not unfamiliar. He was known as arrogant, often using his badge to intimidate black people, just to prove the power he believed was absolute. Under the flickering lights, Cooper strode forward with purpose, his voice sharp and commanding. "Get out of the car. I suspect you of driving under the influence." Vanessa stayed put, her hands resting on the steering wheel. Her eyes met his steadily. She fought to remain calm, but in her chest, her pulse was racing. A black woman, late at night, treated like a criminal. Just because of a glance, a discretionary decision by someone in uniform. In that moment, the audience understands. This is not just a routine traffic stop. It is a confrontation, and this sudden encounter will change everything. Vanessa Carter was no ordinary woman. She had spent nearly 2 decades serving in the United States military. From the dusty sands of Afghanistan to the logistical corridors in Iraq, she had commanded convoys across roads that stretched endlessly under threat. As a black woman, her path had never been easy. Within a rigid, unforgiving institution, she had often been underestimated, her competence questioned simply because of her gender and skin color. But Vanessa did not complain. She responded with achievement, with precision to every detail, and with a will that earned the respect of her comrades. On that night, after a long, tense day of meetings, the only thing she desired was to go home and hold her daughter. Asleep, but the siren's wail and flashing lights placed her in a bitterly familiar predicament. Suspected, judged, treated as guilty because of her color. Officer Bradley Cooper was different. 14 years in uniform had led him to believe that the badge on his chest was an absolute talisman of power. His personality was rigid, arrogant. Cooper had become notorious in his area for pulling over black drivers to harass them. To him, authority was not responsibility, it was a tool to assert himself. In Cooper's eyes, Vanessa was just a woman driving at night, someone easy to intimidate. He had no idea the woman in that SUV was a high-ranking officer, one accustomed to facing pressure 100 times greater. The circumstances were cruelly ironic. Vanessa could have chosen silence, signed an unfair citation, and driven home like so many others. But after years of serving her country, she understood, sometimes, silence only feeds injustice. That night, her choice would turn a seemingly ordinary traffic stop into a public battle between two worlds, oppressive power and the steadfast resolve of justice. "Get out of the car. I suspect you of driving under the influence," Officer Cooper's voice hissed, full of feigned authority. Vanessa inhaled deeply. Her hands remained neatly placed on the wheel, the rule every service member knows in dangerous encounters. Her tone was calm, measured. "Sir, may I ask why I was pulled over?" Specifically, a perfectly legitimate question. Calm, but instead of answering, Cooper furrowed his brow and stepped closer, his hand shifting near the holster. His demeanor grew harsher. In that moment, Vanessa made a critical decision. She quietly pressed a button on her phone. The camera lit up, capturing the entire encounter. The blue light flickered from the small phone, but it was the most powerful weapon she had that night. Cooper demanded she step out, walk straight, blow into the breathalyzer. Vanessa complied with military precision, each step deliberate, no motion out of place. She knew any misstep could be twisted into evidence. The result was obvious. There was no indication she had been drinking. Yet Cooper coldly withdrew his citation book. The pen scratched across paper. The charge: failure to maintain lane. An absurd, blatant accusation. Vanessa looked him in the eye. She neither argued nor pleaded, only calm resolve, and the camera still recording it all. To the audience, the injustice lay bare. A black woman, even bearing rank, reduced by the abuse of power. Yet it was her composure, the way she patiently followed every procedure, that stirs outrage in the observer and makes them wait for what happens next. The next morning, in her small apartment, Vanessa sat at her desk, eyes fixed on the video playing on her screen. The footage was crystal clear: a police officer abusing his authority, his hand hovering near his gun, his tone threatening, and a citation scribbled in the dead of night without cause. She knew many had experienced similar things and let them go, paying the fine just to keep the peace. But the soldier in her could not allow that. She opened her laptop and began typing a detailed report, addressed directly to the Inspector General and the Judge Advocate General, the military's legal authority. She attached the video as evidence. Her words were firm, sharp. I followed every instruction, yet I was treated like a criminal. This was not just a personal insult. It was a violation of my civil rights. Back at the base, the story spread quickly. Her fellow service members passed the video around, stunned by what they saw. This was not just about one woman's mistreatment. It was a wake-up call. Even a high-ranking black female officer, a veteran of war zones, could be stopped and humiliated on her own homeland. Meanwhile, Officer Bradley Cooper was smug. He sat in the police station break room, recounting the night with a sneer to a few fellow officers. Handled some mouthy chick last night. Thought she was smart, but she still signed the ticket. There were chuckles until one voice spoke up, quieter, unsure. Wait, Carter, was that Major Vanessa Carter? The name silenced the room. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Vanessa was no ordinary citizen. She was a respected officer, a former instructor at the military academy, someone who had trained hundreds of recruits. News of the formal complaint reached her superiors. An investigation was launched, thorough and public. But Cooper remained confident. He bragged to his buddies, "Let them investigate. Nobody's going to touch me. I've been a cop for 14 years. Around here, I am the law." He did not know that the truth had already been captured, undeniable. And the badge he saw as a fortress was about to become the chain that would bind the end of his career. What started as a baseless traffic stop had escalated into a high-profile legal case. On one side, a police officer who believed in unchecked authority. On the other, a military officer who dared to challenge injustice with evidence and resolve. The battle was no longer on a quiet street that night. It had entered the courtroom, where justice would reveal the truth. The day of the trial, the courtroom was packed, cold white light casting down on the rows of seats. Murmurs echoed as the doors opened. Vanessa Carter entered. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, medals glinting on her chest. Her steps were firm, her gaze steady. The room fell silent. She was no longer just a black woman driving late at night, but a high-ranking officer, an embodiment of discipline, conviction, injustice. She took her seat and waited. When called to testify, Vanessa stood, her voice calm and unwavering. "I followed every instruction. All I asked was the basic right to know why I had been pulled over. And instead of an answer, I was treated like a criminal." Before the judge and jury, the video played. The blue light from the screen lit up every detail. Cooper's aggressive posture, his hand hovering near the gun, his patronizing tone, his constant badgering. The courtroom was silent. Each passing second sliced deeper into the image of justice protector that Cooper had once projected. The defense attorney tried to salvage the case. "Your Honor, my client was simply following procedure. It was all about ensuring safety." Vanessa looked directly at him, her answer sharp and clear. "Procedure does not justify dehumanizing people, and safety cannot be achieved through intimidation." The room froze. Then came Cooper's turn to testify. He appeared annoyed, trying to maintain composure, but sweat beaded on his forehead. The plaintiff's attorney pressed him. If the driver had not been a black woman, would you have acted the same way? Cooper stammered, then blurted out, if I had known she was a military officer, I would have acted differently. The words hit like a hammer. They did not just condemn him, they exposed a deeper prejudice in Cooper's eyes. Respect was not given to people, it was reserved for rank and power. In the end, the judge delivered the verdict. Officer Bradley Cooper was found guilty of violating civil rights and abusing his authority. He was suspended from duty and handed a severe penalty. His 14-year career over. As for Vanessa, she did not smile in triumph. Her eyes were calm. She knew this was not a personal victory. It was a reminder. Justice still needs defending, every day, by those brave enough to speak the truth. After the trial, Vanessa Carter's life did not change in the way most would expect. She did not appear on the news. She did not seek the spotlight. The next morning, she was seen once again in uniform, walking into the base, returning to her daily work. During the training session for new recruits, she stood before a long line of eager young faces, waiting to listen. Her voice rang out firm, every word crisp and deliberate. Power is not a privilege, it is a responsibility. And if you do not carry it with discipline and integrity, you do not deserve to carry it at all. The recruits stood silent. That message was not just for police officers. It was not just for soldiers. It was for anyone who holds power, whether a small authority or great responsibility. Vanessa's story was not meant to celebrate a courtroom win. It was a reminder that silence only allows injustice to grow. And only when someone dares to speak out, can justice be brought into the light. If you believe that justice must be defended, if you believe that truth cannot be buried, then share this story, like, share, and subscribe, so we can spread powerful voices together, and ensure no one ever has to face injustice alone.